Time to talk about food.
Krissi, you're live on Totally Driven Radio. Welcome to the air, my dear.
Hi, my boyfriends. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing just wonderful. I'm addicted to this new game on the iPad. My kid downloaded. It's called Running with Friends, and you get to run with bulls. And I did no work today. All I did was play Running with Friends. So it was a great day.
I was going to say, I hope it's not that Candy Crush game.
I had to give up on Candy Crush because it was taking over my entire soul. Like the priest in the confession booth wouldn't even take me because he was so ashamed of how much time I spent on Candy Crush. I had to let it go, guys. I had to let it go. All right, that's Candy Crush.
That's all I see from people is Candy Crush, Candy Crush. I'm like, these people are obsessed with this game.
It's a brain buster. It literally will take over your entire life because you can't win. It's not like it's the same game every time. If you screw up once, you got to start all over again, and all the candies are different, and it's very nerve-wracking.
Now, see, my weakness is the Angry Birds with Friends, where you play the tournament against people you know, and I'm so addicted to it. I get up and I'm looking, and if I drop to second place, I get all angry, and I'll sit there on the one board.
Oh my God! I know. My best friend Nicole, she plays the Running with Friends, and every week they post new people that are at the top, and when she gets knocked off, she literally has a 2-year-old temper tantrum. She texts me every curse word in the book. I can't believe these mother effers knocked me off first place. It's unreal. It's unreal.
Oh, I tell you, I'm to the point where I'm every day I get up and check the standings. And last week when I actually won the tournament, and I'm texting everybody in the tournament.
Oh my God, that is so funny.
Bragging, and now I'm 200 points behind, and I've been sitting here obsessing. I shouldn't say this, but every time I go to the bathroom at work, I turn it on, and I'm like, oh man, I can't get it.
So when you were telling me earlier you were too busy to do things because you're working so much, you were full of a little bit of a caca.
No, I said when I go to the bathroom at work. And actually, I was. That's why I had to go to the bathroom. Okay, because you were full of caca. Okay, I got it. Look,
all right.
The iPhone is the greatest thing ever invented for a man on the toilet. I tell you.
I'm gonna quote you on that. I'm gonna tweet that later, Frank.
You had your I had my comic books, but I can't carry around my comic books at work. People looked at me.
Oh my God.
So now you get in there, and you're like, well, what am I going to do? Because honestly, talking to the people in the next stall never ends well. I've tried it. You try to be friendly, strike up a conversation. People just don't want to talk to you.
Listen, it's the same way in the women's room. I talk to everybody. I don't care where I am.
Somehow that doesn't surprise me.
So I got to ask, Krissi, have you ever just tried singing and seen if anybody follows along with you? Because I've done that several times.
I probably have, but I just didn't remember it the next day.
Too funny. Too funny. It's funny, Chris. Me and Frank were talking earlier, and we were talking about last night's shows, and we both were kind of wondering the same thing. How do you feel personally about the way they're portraying you as a person?
I don't think they're cutting things out. I guess through editing that kind of lead up to some of my reactions. But that's me. I'm not going to say it's not me. I'm the big mouth. When something's not right, I'm going to tell you about it. When I feel like, everything's being placed on me or anything like that, I'm going to freak out. I'm going to say, F this, do it yourself. That's me. I got an attitude. I'm a bull. You know what I mean? I've always been that way. I say what's on my mind. I'll tell you like it is. I'll tell you about yourself, and I tell people what they don't want to hear all the time. And some people hate me for it. Some people love me for it. But, you know, I really don't care what people think of me, as the only people that I have to impress on the show are those 3 judges. So America can love me or hate me. I'm used to it. People are very polarized when it comes to me. They either love me or they hate me. So this is nothing new.
And I'm sure probably people are scared of you too.
I mean, I don't know that they're scared of me. I mean, sometimes I do have that effect on people, but I think it's just because, you know, there was a lot of cattiness, you know, in between the contestants. Obviously, it's a competition; things get fierce, and I wouldn't take anybody's shit. And if you were fake, you know, I was going to call you out on it. Like, don't be nice to me now, but go to that person and talk about me there. You know what I mean? Like, you get what you get with me, and you know, I treat people exactly how they treat me. I give everybody benefit of the doubt in the beginning. You know, there's no screw me once, shame on, you know, you, screw me twice, shame on me. No. You get one shot with me. If you break my trust or, you know, you make me feel like I can't be cool with you, that's it. You know what I mean? That's it. I don't have the tolerance to be like, oh, it's okay, I forgive you. No. Look, I'm here to win this competition, to, you know, provide a better life for me and my kid, and you want to play games, you play games over there. I'm not playing games. I got tunnel vision, and that's for that trophy.
Now, but can you see, like, when you watch the show, because, I mean, you haven't seen the shows, so, like, when you're sitting there watching, now, what something I do notice is, too, like me and Frank were saying, like, we're tweeting during the show, and we're, you know, Facebooking and tweeting. You don't hear a peep from you or anybody from the show. It's very quiet. So I'm like, she's probably sitting there watching every little detail of the show. Like, can you see, like, if they edited stuff and you say to yourself, well, they kind of put that there, it didn't happen there, or?
Well, no. They're not like changing the time frame of things. Things, you know, happened accordingly how you guys see them.
Okay.
But, you know, like, for instance, you know, when I said to Jordan, you know, that was a bitch move, the way it came off, and I had to explain to a lot of my friends, I wasn't just mad at Jordan because he saved himself. I was mad because he saved James, who didn't cook the green beans after me and Eddie and Howard were all telling him, you know, look, you got to get them green beans on. Look, you got to put a lid on them green beans. You got to put a lid on them. They're not going to cook. And, you know, that was really what killed us, was those green beans not being cooked, you know.
Yeah, that's what I would say.
You know, then Jordan saved him. So I was just like, you know, dude, like, what? Because he's your friend, you save him? Like, you sunk us with your bad leadership, and James sunk us with the raw green beans. Between the two of you, and you two were safe? Nah. The people who deserve to be safe in that challenge, believe it or not, and you know I can't stand it, but fair is fair. Howard worked his ass off. He made over 200 meatballs, and then Jordan pulled the plug on the meatballs, and Eddie and Johnny were on that grill sweating their asses off in 90-degree heat with them kids screaming. I mean, those 3 guys, not me. I didn't deserve to be saved, you know, but those 3 guys did. They worked their asses off, and they did everything they could to try to help us, you know, not sink and win. And I was just mad at Jordan for the way he conducted himself. And, you know, hopefully I can get him back.
Now, I congratulate you on calling him on the car. That was probably a first in reality TV where you basically said, that was a punk move. And when you did that, I literally cheered you. And then
that's got to be a classic.
After that, yeah, he would get a beat down in Philly.
That's got to be a classic TV line for the year, Frank.
Yeah, that was pretty good. I think I retweeted you on that, buddy.
And I did like how Luca came after him. And I thought, you know what, I give props to him, because that was great the way he just walked up and pulled the but then Luca showed that he is actually a class guy, because, you know, he could have put down the cupcake at the end. He could have said, no, he said, this is good. You did good. You had nothing to work with, and you did good. I give you props. That shows you what kind of guy he seems to be.
Yeah, Luca's a very sweet guy, but he's very sometimes he can be a little immature, you know, and you'll see maybe as the show progresses. But for the most part, he's a really genuine guy. He's very sweet. He really does care about people, and he does not like injustice to another person. There's been a couple of times, you know, when Natasha and I were fighting, you saw them in the last episodes, you know, where he's actually said, guys, that's enough. You know what I mean? Because he doesn't like the fighting. He doesn't like when somebody treats another person not nice. And that's why I tweeted last night he was the Robin Hood of that show. So yeah, but you know, Luca is a really, really good guy, and I guess, you know, he's from Italy, and you know, I'm from here, but I guess, you know, it kind of made me a little more proud to be an Italian, because when he spoke of honor and things like that, I thought, you know, that it must really come from the old country, that philosophy of, you know, respect and treating other, you know what I mean? And it just, like, it kind of made me, like, proud a little bit. Like, my grandparents, you know, brought that over from the country, because here he is, you know, living there. He's only lived here for a couple of years, and that's the way he was raised, too. So it kind of made me, like, really proud. So that was really cool that he did that.
Now, one quick question I had, and I want to see how you feel, and I also want to see how Bay feels on this. One thing I didn't like last night was during the challenge, how Joel went over and basically saved the other team. Like, you know, he said,
that was Gordon, yeah.
I'm sorry, Gordon. And I was just like, well, why are you telling him? Because that saved them, because they turned the teriyaki into more of a barbecue sauce, which, okay, kids will like barbecue. To me, they should have been let to live and die with their decision, just like Jordan should have been let to live and die with the meatball decision. To me, I thought that they basically just, you know, that little turn of events won that for him, and that kind of aggravated me, because I thought you were supposed to do this on your own merit. Them helping out just, to me, just seemed unfair. I mean, what did both of you guys think about that?
Well, I mean, I can tell you that, you know, while you only saw that particular portion, you know, Gordon was the one that came over and, you know, kind of saved our asses with those meatballs, too. You know, he was the one that was like, guys, this isn't going to work. You need to change direction. You know what I mean? They give constructive criticism. You can either take it or not take it. But, you know, they genuinely, like, all three judges, like, they once we become, you know, like the top 18, you see, like, them change as well. Like, they're genuinely investing an interest in you, and they want you to succeed. They want you to become better. And, you know, even though they're tough and, oh, this you know, this looks like crap and blah, 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 they're basically like, it's like tough love almost, you know. So, you know, in Gordon's defense, yes, he went over, and yes, you saw that, but he did the same thing for us too. You just didn't see the whole thing. You just saw him kind of like, you know, this isn't going to work, 200 meatballs. But really, he was like, hey, guys, this isn't going to work. You guys need to change direction. You know, think about what you're doing. You know, he had come over and advised me that, you know, we probably weren't going to have enough sauce. We should probably make a new thing of marinara, so I made a backup, which we ended up not using anyway. But you know what I mean? Like, it's tough that all the editing that has to be done, because there's really so much involved with these team challenges and so much emotion and so much work. I mean, and you know, because you have to make a time slot, I guess, you know, on the show, you really don't get to see everything, and that's the thing that I kind of feel bad for the audience, because they don't get, you know, you don't get the full experience. You get what probably, you know, fits in that hour, you know.
Now, my quick take on that whole thing was, when they first said that they were going to do teriyaki chicken, that was my reaction too. Was like, it's not going to go over too well with the kids. And then you were like, right, spaghetti and meatballs. I was like, home run. Simple, basic. Yeah. What kid don't like spaghetti and meatballs? So I was like, all right. And then with the whole meatball thing, which I was like, oh, yeah. And then I was like, wow. You don't realize until you guys were like, all right, 600 meatballs. I was like, That's a lot of freaking rolling.
The plan originally was just to do, the 300 meatballs, which could have been done. Howard had 200 meatballs made in like 20 minutes, and all we had to do was fry them off and throw them in the gravy and cook them for the last hour. They would have been fine. But, the problem was that, Jordan had this great idea that, we should make the meatballs smaller because they're kids. So why don't we do 2 golf balls? You actually saw me, and I was being really sarcastic. Gordon comes over, and he goes, what are you doing? And Jordan's like, we're going to make 2 meatballs. And I was like, yeah, 2 golf ball-sized meatballs. And I was being, like, cocky and sarcastic. I thought it was funny that they showed that. I was aggravated. I mean, I was rolling my eyes, and the whole thing with the team challenge, last night that you guys saw was, it was our first time really working with people, and nobody really knew what anybody's strengths were. Everybody wanted to be the big mahaf. And Jordan actually wasn't doing anything. He was just walking around dictating to people. And it was just, it's just so tense. Like, I can't even tell you, how tense it is. And then, every 5-10 minutes, the judges are coming over, and they're like, well, what are you guys doing? Well, why haven't you done this yet? Why haven't you started? The kids are coming. How are you going to get this done? And you just get oh, my God, oh, my God, oh, my God, and everybody said, it's just a really crazy, crazy situation.
Now, one thing I wondered was, all right, when you guys go and film that, do you guys just go film one thing for a day and then you're done?
What do you mean?
When you guys went and did that with the kids, did you film anything else that day? Another challenge that day, or do you just do one challenge a day?
No, I mean it depends. It's a funny thing. You can actually tell by our clothes. When you don't see our clothes change, that means it was all one day.
Wow.
That's the best way I can tell you, because the show's been done for weeks now, so it's hard for me to remember just everything. But it's I guess that's the only way I can really tell you is if you see us in the same clothes, then it was the same day.
Now, how about when you guys are making the cheesecakes and everybody's up on the balcony watching you guys? I mean, were they there that whole hour you guys were doing the cheesecake?
Absolutely.
And are they breaking balls the whole time, or are they just? Sometimes,
yeah. You saw last show. Natasha snapped out at Cassie, and Cassie said that she ain't scared of her.
Wow. Yeah, I'm telling you, I said to Frank at the beginning of the show, I watch that show and I feel the pressure. When you guys, when it's an hour, I'm like, oh my God, I couldn't do it. And then when you got Gordon in the second hour last night with the cupcake or the cod, where he turned around and he sat for the first half hour sipping tea and all and watching you guys.
He sure did. Yes,
I was wow. And my daughter was watching it with us, and she's like, what's he doing? I'm like, watch. I said, you're going to see him like a lunatic pretty soon. And she's like, oh, my God, look how fast he's moving. I'm like, well, that's what you got to do when you're in a kitchen.
Just watching him, the way he moves, the fluidity of, everything that he did, it's just, it's just awe-inspiring to watch someone like him, move like that in the kitchen and just complete, just one motion, boom, 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 and it's just it's almost like he's an artist, and you're looking at him, and it's like he's moving so quickly, but you're so it looks like he's moving in slow motion because you just can't imagine the magnitude, watching someone like that, do their craft right in front of you. It's amazing. Both of the chefs are just absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Well, to me, it seemed like he was actually sending a message, too, where he was like, less is more. And because basically it was funny because he was even saying some of them are getting a little too complicated. They're overthinking it. And then they asked him, are you going to start cooking? He goes, well, I don't need this much time. And it was almost like he's trying to tell everyone, hey, think about what I'm doing, and it might help you along the way. Because that's almost what I took out of it, as he was like trying to send a message to some of the ones that were trying to get a bit too crazy and a bit too creative.
Right, and that's exactly what he was doing. Again, that was part of his like tough love. Everybody thinks that the judges are scary, and Joe's a grump and Gordon's a tyrant, but I can honestly tell you that they only want you to succeed. I mean, they're investing their time in us, and it's just like when you were in high school and you had that one teacher that was always pushing you. That's what they're doing. You know what I mean? And it was constantly like they ride your ass, but it's only because they want you to be better.
How about when Joe took the one, was it Howard's plate, and he threw it in the trash can? Listen.
That's my evil laugh. You know what? At this point, like, Howard's just a joke to me. I don't know why he's still there. It's really aggravating to me. He did work hard in the team challenges, but he's a military guy. That's what he's used to working in a team setting like that. But when you leave him alone to stand on his own, he doesn't do so hot. And he don't need any help from me. He don't need any help from the other contestants. He's going to self-destruct on his own. And I'm not worried about Howard in the least.
Well, at this point in the contest, I think it's almost like you don't have to be the best. You just have to be better than the worst. I mean, it's almost like you're running from a dog. You don't have to be the fastest runner. You just have to be faster than the fat kid in front of you. And it's almost the same thing at this point, where you don't have to be that great, because if there's someone that much worse than you, you're going to survive. Now, as the show goes on, that's going to change. But, I mean, that's the only reason I think he's even still there, because besides the challenge, he really has had two bad. Last week the judges crapped all over what he made, and this week they didn't even taste it. They threw it out.
Yeah.
Now, did you guys know you were going? Now, this bugged me last night too. Did you guys know beforehand that you were going to a school?
We have no idea where we're going.
Okay, because
it's all a surprise to us.
Okay, because I was like, why is Natasha dressed like a stripper if she's going to a school with kids?
Well, that's Natasha. She's beautiful. She's pretty. She's got to show it. She's hot. She's smoky. She's spicy.
And no one can think I cook.
Whatever, Natasha.
Oh boy! Oh boy! Oh boy! So, in other words, what you're saying is you and Natasha haven't sat down and broken bread since the show has finished.
Natasha's not my friend.
Well, how about at the end of I forget who it was. Who was the one that was eliminated in the second hour last night?
It was Malcolm.
No, not Mal. It was the girl who was almost eliminated. The little short girl.
Oh, Adriana. Yeah, Adriana was actually a vegetarian. I don't know if anyone knew that, but yeah, she was a vegetarian, and she was from Mexico, and guava is something that I guess she uses all the time, but I guess, cheesecake-wise, it just wasn't there. And, her cheesecake was really thin and everything like that, and I guess ultimately that's why she got eliminated. Sweet girl, very sweet girl. I didn't have any problem with her at all. But, she just got out-cooked.
Yeah,
well,
and...
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, you just see, like I was saying, the pressure. I mean, she was, the tears running down her face. I mean, there was like a line of drool coming out of her mouth. She was so upset. I was just like, I mean, the pressure they put on, I mean, not just you, but everybody. And this is what all of these reality shows like this, I mean, the intense pressure that these people go through. I'm just like, I couldn't do it. I couldn't.
Yeah, that's we always get our hate tweets and things like that, and I actually got a hate tweet. It was actually a hate message on my MasterChef Facebook page, and it said something like, "Oh, anybody that takes off and leaves their family to go compete on a reality show is a selfish, blah blah blah." And I thought, buddy, you don't have any idea how difficult that was. That was the hardest thing I have ever done in my entire life. It
but
was
you're not the
stressful,
only one.
it was emotional, and I just thought, it's so easy for people to sit back on their computer or behind their TV and be like, I could do that. Well, could you? Because I don't see you over here. Then do it. Then try out, and then tell me how you feel. I had no idea, that it was going to be that intense when I initially, decided to accept the invitation and go out to L.A. I had no idea what I was in for. I thought it was going to be fun and games. No, it was serious. It was dead, intense, serious.
Now, when you were filming, were you able to be in contact with your son and your family and all that?
We're actually sequestered because it is an elimination show. We're not allowed to tell anyone anything. So, we do get to contact our families. They can write us letters. We can write them letters. We are allowed to have phone calls at certain times because of filming restrictions,
Right.
And because of the time difference for me, it was difficult to get calls home. But, if there's an emergency or something like that, they're
Sure.
very, very good about that. But, for the most part, we're kind of kept away from everybody because nobody can know what we're doing. And, it's because it's an elimination. Jesus, I can't talk tonight. Elimination-based show, and it's kind of like, why would you want to ruin it? So
right.
we
had
have to, yes.
We had one of the girls from The Biggest Loser on earlier in the year, and with that show, you're not allowed no contact. Like when you go to the ranch and you're doing that whole thing, as long as you're on that ranch and filming, you're allowed zero contact with the outside world. And, I mean, she was married with, I think it was 2 kids, and she couldn't talk to her husband or kids at all that whole time she was on the ranch.
I mean, we're like I said, we're not allowed. I maybe got to talk to my son maybe once a week. It's just for the privacy of the show,
right?
And they're not tyrants, by any means. It's just like that is one of the conditions when you sign on for the show. You're specifically told, there's going to be long periods of time where you're not going to be able to talk to your loved one. Is that okay with you? And you have to decide whether or not it's okay. And, if it wasn't for my son pushing me, I would have been like, no way. I could never not talk to my kid every day. And, it was difficult. My kid's really the only thing I got, and to not be able to see him, talk to him, hold him, every day was murder. But I knew that he wanted me to be there and, try to win, and that's what I tried to do.
Well, I'll tell you, Chris, and I'm not just saying this because I'm talking to you. You are definitely becoming the breakout on the show. It's like, and I was talking to people at work because now I got other people watching the show, and it was funny because they say the one girl said it best today. She goes, as soon as somebody says something, you look for where Krissi is to see what she's about to do.
It's so funny. I was walking down Arch Street today, and a girl ran across the street and was like, "Oh my God, are you Krissi? Are you on MasterChef?" I said, "Yeah." She was like, "Oh my God." She was like, "I never saw the show before." She was like, "But my boyfriend watches it." She was like, "And now I'm like a huge fan, and all my friends watch it. We love you." And I can't tell you how many people in just these last 3 weeks have come up to me and told me that I'm the reason they watch the show. And, that is really cool to hear. Like, because to me, look, I'm just, sorry, I have some jerks driving past my head. Come on, guys! For Christ's sakes. See, you got to teach people a lesson. Riding past my house, peeling wheels like a goddamn maniac. I got kids in here. Anyway, so, look, you can take the girl out of South Philly. You can't take the South Philly out of the girl.
The worst part is I'm 2 towns over and I heard her yell.
It's like so awesome to hear. I was actually walking home yesterday I like to walk home from the train. I think it's it's nice, and especially when the weather's nice. And somebody literally stopped in the street, in the middle of the street. My son was cracking up, and she was like, "Oh my God, are you on MasterChef?" And I was like, "Yeah." And people are beeping, and my son is hysterical. He's like, "Mom, that lady stopped traffic for you." I was like, "Oh my God." So it's definitely cool. I mean, that's awesome because, like, it's not just me. Like, I'm doing this for my kid. I'm doing this for, a better life for us and everything like that. But, like, honestly, like, it pisses me off. Like, and we've talked about this before, like, how Philly is viewed. Like, yeah, you know what? We're tough. We're tell it like it is people. Why is that a bad thing? Why is that a bad thing? Like, and everybody kind of like looks down on Philly like it's nothing. Well, I'm here to show you, yeah, we are something, and we're kick-ass people.
It's funny. Now, the other girl that's on the show with you, the little, like, we call her Mousy, me and my wife, the little mousy-looking girl, she's like from Doylestown.
Well, she's like Lancaster. I think she was born in Doylestown, but
Is that what it was?
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure she lives actually like in Lancaster, but I think she's from Doylestown. I think that's why. I don't remember if they said she was from Doylestown or Lancaster.
Yeah, they said Doylestown. But you can see the difference in a person like yourself who's South Philly and a person who's from the Philadelphia area, but you can just see the difference between Philadelphia and the suburbs.
Yeah, we're totally unique. I mean, I can't even tell you, like, when we did get out in LA and, I would go to the mall or something like that, I'd go get my nails done or, something like that. People would be like, "Oh my God, where are you from?" And I'd be like, "I'm from Philly." They're like, "Oh, say something." People went crazy over the accent. And, to me, I'm like, "Oh, I have an accent? Really? I didn't know I have an accent." Okay. I mean, I have people writing to me on Twitter and Facebook that have moved out of the Philadelphia area that are like, "Oh, my God, your accent makes me feel like I'm home. Thank you so much, blah, blah, blah." And I'm just like, man, I talk normal. You talk weird.
Use. You got to emphasize the use.
and you know what, Bay? She is 100% correct. A couple of years ago, I went to Boston, and it was me and my brother, and we were sitting in a restaurant, and just this couple comes up to us from out of nowhere. "Where you from?" And we're like, Delaware County, around Philadelphia. "I can tell. We used to be from," like, they picked out the accent because, down in Boston you got them all talking like this, and it's just funny that they picked up a Philadelphia accent, and they did the same thing. We'll say something in Philadelphia. The girl at the restaurant said, "Say something in Philadelphian."
Yeah, Jordan was one of my biggest ball breakers, and he would constantly make fun of me for my accent. His favorite thing I said was water and library.
Two classic Philadelphia words.
Yeah. He literally, he'd be like, "Wait, what is it? It's a what? You're going where?" I'm like, "The library."
Now, last night they didn't show your cupcakes. What cupcakes did you make?
No. Basically, I fell middle of the road for everything. I got great reviews on my cupcakes, but they weren't the best, which is fine. Hey, at least they weren't the worst. I can't be the best all the time. I would love to be, but I made a vanilla bean walnut cake stuffed with bananas Foster and a cinnamon mascarpone frosting. they were incredible. They were very good. I got very good reviews, but there were better cupcakes. So, hey, as long as I got good reviews, that's fine with me.
How about the one girl? She opened up the box and they looked like they shrunk. I was like, ooh.
Yeah, poor Jessie, and what you don't see on camera is actually I had walked up and they opened up my box and Gordon said, "Wow, he actually made Jessie go up and look at my box of cupcakes because he said that's what cupcakes should look like."
It was funny too.
Pretty funny.
Because when they were in the room picking the mix, the challenge, they even said before they unveiled the cupcakes, they said this is the thing that has taken over the industry, and it really like the whole cupcake business. I mean, there's a place called Crumbs, and it's spaced out in New York, and it started off the Howard Stern show. They started really plugging it on there, and I'm a Howard Stern fan, so I was like, all right, I have to go get these cupcakes. And we started driving up like once every couple of months just to go buy cupcakes. And I would go out and buy like $75 worth of cupcakes and come walking out like a kid on Christmas morning with these giant bags, and they're delicious. It was just incredible. And now it is. It's like a booming business is the cupcake world.
Well, that's why I was actually shocked that Luca picked cupcakes because to me, somebody who bakes all the time, I love to bake, I would have picked the layer cake. And the layer cake is very difficult to execute, especially in that amount of time. You've got to bake your cake, and you've got to, cool it. You've got to make sure the icing or frosting is adequately, proportioned. You need to make sure all your layers are the same size. You need to make sure that the frosting is consistent all the way around the cake. A layer cake is a lot more complicated than a dozen cupcakes, for me anyway.
I thought the same exact thing. When I seen, when they did the cookies, I was like, that's not much of a challenge. And the cupcakes, I was like, But then when I seen that they did the layer cake, I said, you know what, that's what he's going to pick because that's going to knock some people out. And then when they came out with the cupcakes, I was like, that was kind of a poor choice. If you're trying to play the game.
I mean, cupcakes are tricky because, they can overcook so quickly. But that's really, in my opinion, the only thing you really have to worry about with a cupcake. You could do so much with a cupcake because they're small. You could scoop them out. You could stuff them. You could, things like that you can't do with a cake. That's why a cake is so much more difficult because attention really has to be paid to that cake. And cupcakes you can play around. You make 24 of them at a time, and you got 12 for backup. A cake, you make that one time. If you screw that up, you're screwed. I was very shocked that he picked the cupcakes over the cake.
Now, how good did it make you feel that your cheesecake fell, and they still raved about it? And they said basically, if this didn't fall, it would have been the perfect cheesecake.
Yeah,
that must have made you feel really great.
Well, the only reason, we only had 90 minutes to cook and cool that cheesecake. And what happened was, as you saw, I made my recipe was to make a big, thick New York-style cheesecake like Joe was talking about. Well, I knew my cheesecake was not going to cook in 45 minutes. That's a 60-minute cheesecake. So I had to cook mine a little bit longer than everyone else, and then I had to put it directly in the blast chiller because it had to cool, And as soon as I took the hot cheesecake from the oven and put it into the blast chiller, which was, obviously freezing cold, boom, it immediately shrunk in. So it wasn't because it wasn't done or, anything like that. It was just the laws of, I guess, what do you call that, cooking physics? I don't know. But, again, what you didn't see was that I had actually gotten complimented because I didn't try to hide it. I went up there, I said, look, it fell, and it's going to taste good, though, and that's how I go about everything I cook, even outside of the MasterChef kitchen. Like, hey, it might not look perfect sometimes. Everybody has a bad day in the kitchen. Anything can happen in the kitchen. Even the most seasoned chefs burn something, overcook, undercook something. It happens. and you just have to be like, look, it's going to taste good. Who cares if it's a little, it might not be the prettiest cheesecake, but goddamn, it's going to taste good, and, I knew it was going to taste good. I knew it. And I knew my crust was perfect and everything like that. I make cheesecake a lot. My kid loves cheesecake. I love cheesecake, obviously. I love all kinds of food. But, but what I'm saying is, like, I knew. Like, it was almost like I was, making Sunday gravy. It was just, I knew the recipe in my head. It just came natural to me. And, I knew as soon as I put it in that blast chiller it was going to fall. I knew. It wasn't a surprise to me at all.
Now, the heavy guy, the heavy judge, what's his name?
Graham Elliott.
Okay. Every time he puts food in his mouth, does he always look to the sky?
I can't tell you how many times I hear this.
He looks right up to the ceiling every time, and I crack up. It's just like he puts himself into a food trance. Yeah,
he is the ultimate foodie. Graham loves food. He thinks, eats, sleeps, talks. I've never met a guy more passionate and more into his food than Graham. And he can just dissect a flavor. Like you ever watch Hell's Kitchen when they get blindfolded and they have to do all those taste test things? Graham Elliott would be the most perfect person to do that because he is amazing at that. Like he's so in tune. It's almost like he goes into like this Hare Krishna type situation where he's just like, oh, my food, and boom, he's like, teleported to this magical place where only flavors matter. It's hysterical, absolutely hysterical.
I think that's amazing though when people are able to do that, to like just pull out like taste like that and ingredients, like they can pinpoint like what's in there. I watch them do it and I'm just like, wow, like I would just be like so happy if I'm eating the food, let alone going through and dissecting what's in it.
My son and I, in my MasterChef preparation, before I knew I was going to go out to LA, we did some fun things here, and they were all his ideas, to get me prepared. And he had set up 10 foods and blindfolded me, and I, was tasting the food. And, this was all food that I know, like stuff that came out of my fridge. And I only got 6 right. It's very difficult when you dull one sense how it affects all your other senses. Like, it's crazy. Like, I actually, I'm almost embarrassed to say this, but I actually got, I got Nutella wrong. I thought it was chocolate syrup.
Wow.
And Nutella is one of my most favorite things in the entire world. I want to be buried with a jar of Nutella. And I actually thought it was chocolate syrup, yeah.
Wow, I'm blown away.
Yeah.
You know what we need to do? We need to figure out a way. We got to, like, do something with you and have you do, like, a cooking demonstration and have people there and get a crowd out there and have you cook up some food.
Well, I actually do that. If you go to my MasterChef page, or you can go to the Rotund Chef page on Facebook, you can contact me via message, and I actually do in-home demonstrations and private cooking classes and things like that. I just did one this weekend. I had an absolute blast, absolute awesome time. Basically I come to your house, I bring all the food, everybody pays a certain amount per person, you know what I mean? Like, each person pays their own way, basically. You come in, you watch me cook, you could eat the food, we talk about things, you ask me questions, I show you how it's done, I give you a printout of the recipes. I mean, it's really been a great success, and I love doing it. I love giving people, the knowledge and everything like that, because cooking for me is like such an amazing thing. Like, it's just such a, stress reliever, and it makes people happy. So if I can share that with somebody, I'll do it. I love it.
So, and after you cook it, do you all just sit around and eat it?
Well, I don't. It's your food. So basically, I just collect my things, and you guys can all have your little food gasms.
Foodgasms. That's too funny. All right, we got to figure something out. We got to get something going. We're going to and have you come and hang out and cook and try to get some fans out and do a whole big thing.
Absolutely, I'm game. Whatever you got, I'm ready for. After being in the MasterChef kitchen, I can handle anything.
That sounds like a plan. Now, what do we look forward to this week on MasterChef?
I actually don't know what's coming up next. I can't. I think we're going to be interacting with some heroes, and that's all I can say.
Some heroes. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So I'll just let the mind wander. It took me a second to remember what's coming up next. But so we're going to be interacting with some heroes, and I think everybody's going to really enjoy this one. It's going to be a really good one.
You got to crack up too, because when they show the previews for the next week, it's just like they show things that happens, and then they flash to you and your reaction, like, "Oh Jesus Christ, we're over there!"
I think I was actually screaming, "Everyone, calm the F down!"
Yeah.
Yes, that was me.
Oh, too funny.
I had to remember what the preview was they showed, so I could remember myself what was coming next, and now I know exactly what's coming. So you guys are going to love this next one. It's going to be awesome.
Well, there you go, everybody. Wednesday night on Fox, 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Watch Krissi on MasterChef Season 4 with Gordon Ramsay. What's it? Joe who? I don't even know these people's names.
Joe Bastianich.
Okay, and Graham Elliott. Connoisseurs of food, incredible chefs, know-it-alls, and Krissi. That's all that matters. We are Team Krissi.
Good. I'm glad. I hope you stay that way.
Again, Krissi, thank you so much. Another great week of conversations. We look at that. Almost 50 minutes, and, I mean, just food. Too funny.
All right, guys. It's always a pleasure. Love yous.
Hey, love you too, and we will be talking soon, and we're going to try seriously, we're going to get something together. We're going to try to get people out, and we're just going to hang out and eat, and you're going to, unfortunately, be the one cooking.
Hey, that's not unfortunate for me. I love it. Any chance I can get to cook for people is awesome for me. Seriously. I love doing it.
Cool. All right. We're going to get this together.
Sounds awesome.
All right. Thank you. Talk to you soon.
All right, guys. Talk to you next week. Enjoy the show.
Thanks. See ya.
Bye.
There you go, Frank. What do you think of that idea?
About her? The character that you see on TV, that is her.
Oh, totally.
Having had the pleasure of getting to hang out with her for an afternoon, what you see is what you get. And she's a riot, man. She's 90 miles an hour out of the gate.
She is pedal to the metal. But what do you think of that idea, Frank? We get someplace, we do a big whole totally driven MasterChef night.
As my boy Darren will let you know, if there's food and I'm invited, I'll twist my arm.
Yeah, right. Ow, ow, ow. All right, well, on that note, we've gone for almost an hour and a half, so let's take a commercial break. And then on the other side of the commercial break, we'll be coming back. We'll have our good friend Nick calling in and have some TV talk, more TV talk. A lot of stuff to talk about in the world of TV. So we'll be back in a few minutes.